Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So I've been asking people to dislike my videos since Thanksgiving of 2022, and altogether I, I remember when Peter Schiff had recorded his 1000th show, but in just 2 years, I probably had more Peter Dislikes shows than all the Peter Schiff shows that he had all career long, and I really like it. And the reason I like there are a couple of reasons I like my Peter Dislike show, but I'm going to name the big ones. The number one reason is that when I'm having a bad day or I'm going through a difficult situation and I sing Peter Dislike, it becomes a familiar thing, right? So Peter Dislike has been with me through all the ups and downs of recent years, right? I had a couple toxic jobs. The truth is that the jobs might have been toxic, but I exacerbated the problem because a lot of times I was desperate for work. And I'm not nearly as desperate these days. I have my financial house in a better shape than I had 2 years ago, although it's still not perfect. But earlier today, I was in a meeting with my boss, and I actually stood up for myself a little bit more than I would have in years past because I'm not desperate anymore, and it really shows. I think when you go to work and you're a few like literally an hour's worth of pay away from starving to death, I think it really shows on your face, whether you like it or not. And I strive not to be in that situation anymore. Unfortunately, it's easier said than done, especially somebody with a lot of ambitions like me. I'm constantly I'm constantly over leveraging everything in order to chase all of my dreams, and sometimes it gets the better of me, right? And but I had a number of toxic jobs, and I had relationships that you know were a lot of uncertainty in relationships. Let's put it that way. Like for example, um, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be seeing a girl that I met online. She lives in Houston, but the everyday conversations with her sometimes go up and down, up and down, up and down, and then sometimes I can't take it anymore, and I just pick up the camera and go, Peter Dislike Show, and I kind of just escape from all that for a moment, right? And unfortunately, every aspect of my life puts me on roller coaster rides, right? Sometimes the art projects can feel that way too. When I'm negotiating with a buyer, it's up and down, up and down, up and down. And it feels like, come to think of it, when I'm taking that girl to a theme park, right? But my everyday life feels like one giant theme park ride, right? Up and down and up and down. And, so sometimes I feel like sometimes I actually do vomit from the everyday roller coaster rides of life, right? And so Peter dislikes sometimes. The other thing I notice about the Peter Dislike Show is that I ask for dislikes on my videos. Please support my channel by disliking the video. And I find that it's such a silly ask, but at the same time, it's easy to ask it. It warms me up for when I need to make more difficult asks. Like, for example, asking for that vacation day at my job the other day, right? Or today when I was at the meeting with my boss, and my boss had pointed out some things, opening my mouth to defend my teaching styles, right? When she disagreed with me, right? And that's a little bit more challenging than asking for a dislike. But the fact that I ask for dislikes and I don't even hesitate when I do it, it becomes warm up for stuff like that. I know it sounds kind of weird, but I really do believe there's a connection there. It's weird, right? Sometimes I ask for silly things that I don't really want or need, just because of it's a very easy ask to do, and that's good, right? Um, and the other reason is that it sticks out, right? Sometimes I can't tell you how many times I'll be at the student union, go in the Peter Dislike Show, please support my disliking, and after I hit the stop button on the record, somebody comes up to me and says that's a really cool trick, right? It gets the conversation going, and all the rest, right? It's one of those things that it's just easy to do. It's familiar. It's it helps keep some rhythm in my life. I can't tell you how many times I feel like I'm only existing and not living, especially because like I mentioned earlier, my finances aren't as great as they could be, right? Now, if I inherited $1 million today, right, if I go home and find that all my bismuth has decayed into gold, right, I'd still come here tomorrow. I would, but I have a much better foundation to stand on, right? And I'd still uh, I still do pretty much everything that I do, right? I might consider moving out of that home that I live in. I live with a couple of alcoholic roommates and a few people who are just unwise. They're not bad people, but my roommate decided that she was sick, coughing and all that. I'm talking on the phone, and she decides that's a really good time to just say hello to me and ask me how my day's going. I'm on the phone. She's coughing her guts out. And it just made a really bad impression to the person I was talking to. And then I was working on my art projects. I got hot metal, and she just insists that she needed to talk to me about a whole bunch of nothing. It wasn't even like, oh my God, the house is on fire and she needs to inform me. No, it was about how she had something silly happen at work, a meme she had saw on social media. I told her, could you please give me some space? I'll give you some of this art when I'm done, but now's not really a good time. This is kind of dangerous stuff, right? And she said, no, I can handle myself. Yeah, I need focus. And so I know she didn't have ill intent. She was curious, but it wasn't the right time to do that. She was trying to be a good person, even when she was coughing her guts out. But I don't Peter dislike them. What I do Peter dislike is my set of circumstances and not having resources to take some space away from that, right? And so the point I wanted to make is that I think I have my life figured out aside from the money, right? And so when I go home, I hope some of that bismuth has disintegrated into gold. I did a calculation one time. The odds of a pound or so of bismuth completely turning into gold overnight is like one in one Googleplex, right? But there's a chance, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.